The monitor beeps rhythmically, marking each contraction like a countdown clock. Maya Winters grips the hospital bed rails, her knuckles white, sweat beading on her forehead as another wave of pain crashes through her. She bites down on her lip, stifling a scream. "Deep breaths, Mrs. Winters," the nurse says, checking the monitor. "You're at 7 centimeters. Not much longer now." Maya nods, unable to speak as the contraction peaks. When it finally subsides, she fumbles for her phone on the bedside table. "No new messages." The last text from Ethan came 18 hours ago. "Having the best time. Signal spotty at the resort. Will call when I can." Attached was a photo. Her husband's tanned face grinning beneath aviator sunglasses, a tropical drink in hand, azure water stretching behind him. His arm draped around a friend's shoulder. She couldn't remember which one. Parker, maybe? One of the college buddies he'd reconnected with recently. The buddies who'd planned this last hurrah trip. The one Ethan insisted he couldn't miss, even though Maya was 38 weeks pregnant. The doctor said first babies usually come late, he'd reasoned. "It's only 4 days. I'll be back before anything happens." Another contraction builds. Maya drops the phone and grabs the rails again, a guttural moan escaping her lips. She glances desperately at the door, hoping for a familiar face. Someone, anyone, to hold her hand. The room remains empty except for the nurse, who moves efficiently around her, adjusting monitors, checking vitals. "Is there someone we can call for you, honey?" the nurse asks, sympathy in her eyes. Maya shakes her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. Through the window, darkness has fallen. In the Maldives, where Ethan is, it would be midday. Perfect weather for the boat excursion he'd been so excited about. As the pain intensifies, Maya closes her eyes and screams, finally letting it out, while 6,000 miles away, her husband dives into crystal-clear waters, blissfully unaware that he's about to become a father. "Positive," Maya whispered, staring at the plastic stick in her hand. 2 pink lines stared back at her, unmistakable even in the dim bathroom light. She'd taken the test more out of elimination than expectation. Her period was 2 weeks late, but stress did that sometimes. Between the promotion at work and Ethan's recent moods, her body had good reason to be out of sync, but here it was, positive. She and Ethan had discussed children, vaguely, as something for someday. They'd been married 3 years, both turning 30 this year, but somehow that conversation had always ended with, "not yet." Maya sat on the edge of the bathtub, test still in hand, and tried to imagine Ethan's reaction. Would he be excited? Terrified? They could handle this, right? They had stable jobs, a nice apartment. They could make room for a baby. The front door opened, followed by the familiar sound of Ethan's keys landing in the bowl on the entryway table. "Maya?" His voice echoed through their apartment. "In here," she called back, quickly wrapping the test in tissue and tucking it into her pocket. She wanted to see his face when she told him. Ethan appeared in the doorway, loosening his tie. His dark hair was disheveled, as if he'd been running his hands through it all day, a nervous habit she'd found endearing when they first met. "Hey," he said, leaning in for a quick kiss. "You won't believe the day I had." Johnson completely tanked the Meridian presentation. "After all that work, can we talk?" Maya interrupted. "Something important." Ethan paused, studying her face. "Everything okay? Let's sit down." In the living room, Maya perched on the edge of the sofa while Ethan took his usual spot in the armchair across from her. The distance between them suddenly felt symbolic. "I'm pregnant," she said simply, pulling out the test and placing it on the coffee table between them. Ethan stared at it for what felt like an eternity. His expression cycled through shock, confusion, and something else Maya couldn't quite identify. "Are you sure?" he finally asked. Maya nodded. "I mean, I'll make a doctor's appointment to confirm, but these tests are pretty accurate." Another long silence. Maya's stomach knotted as she watched him process the news. "Say something," she urged. Ethan ran both hands down his face. "I don't know what to say, Maya. This wasn't the plan." "I know. We talked about waiting, getting more established, maybe buying a house first." "Plans change," Maya said softly. Sometimes life happens while we're making other plans. Don't quote John Lennon at me right now, Ethan snapped, then immediately looked apologetic. Sorry, I'm just processing. Maya felt tears threatening. This wasn't how she'd imagined this moment. In her daydreams, there had been excitement, maybe happy tears, talk of names and nursery colors. I need some air, Ethan said suddenly, standing up. I'm going for a walk. Ethan, I just need to think, okay? This is a lot. Before she could respond, he'd grabbed his keys and was out the door. Maya sat alone in the silent apartment, one hand unconsciously moving to rest on her still flat stomach. The following months brought adjustment. Ethan came around gradually. He accompanied Maya to appointments, held her hair during morning sickness, and even seemed to develop a certain pride when telling people he was going to be a father. But something had shifted between them. A subtle distance Maya couldn't quite bridge. At night, Ethan would place a hand on her growing belly, feeling the baby kick, but his eyes would drift past her to some invisible horizon. She'd catch him scrolling through social media with unusual intensity, smiling at posts from friends who were traveling, advancing careers, living the lives they might have had. Parker's company is sending him to Hong Kong, Ethan commented one evening, showing Maya his phone. Must be nice. You could have pursued international work, Maya pointed out. You chose to stay with Callister because you wanted stability, Ethan shrugged. That was before I knew I'd be changing diapers at 30. The comment stung, but Maya swallowed her hurt. Hormones made her more sensitive these days. Ethan was trying in his way. He'd assembled the crib, attended the birthing classes, even suggested names, though none with the enthusiasm she'd hoped for. She tried to involve him, to help him connect with the reality of their child. Feel this, she'd say, guiding his hand to a tiny foot pushing against her ribs. That's our daughter. They'd learned it was a girl at the 20-week scan. Ethan had seemed momentarily awestruck watching the ultrasound, the tiny profile, the beating heart. For a brief moment, Maya had glimpsed the partner she remembered, the man who'd once talked about their future with stars in his eyes. But as her due date approached, Ethan grew restless. He worked later hours, spent more time at the gym, reconnected with old college friends. Maya tried not to feel abandoned as she waddled around their apartment, preparing for the baby, increasingly alone. Then came the invitation. It's Parker's bachelor party, Ethan explained, showing Maya the group text. 4 days in the Maldives, all expenses paid by his fiancé's family. His eyes gleamed with excitement. The guys haven't all been together in years. Maya stared at him in disbelief. The Maldives? Ethan, I'll be 38 weeks pregnant. The doctor said first babies usually come late, he countered. I'll be back before anything happens. And if she decides to come early? You have Zoe and your sister nearby. And it's not like I can do much during labor anyway, right? He attempted a joke that fell flat between them. You want to miss the birth of your daughter? Maya's voice was quiet, dangerous. I don't want to miss it. I'm saying it's extremely unlikely I will. Ethan took her hands. This trip means a lot to me, Maya. I need this. A last break before everything changes forever. The conversation spiraled into their first real fight since the pregnancy began. Voices raised, old resentments surfaced. In the end, exhausted and tearful, Maya had relented. Perhaps because deep down she understood his fear. She felt it too. Or perhaps because fighting felt more dangerous than conceding, as if the fragile peace between them might shatter beyond repair if pushed too far. So Ethan booked his ticket, promised to keep his phone on him at all times, and kissed her goodbye with reassurances that echoed hollow in their apartment after he left. 4 days. He'd be gone 4 days. Maya went into labor on day 2. Push, Mrs. Winters. That's it. One more big push. Maya bears down with everything she has, a primal scream tearing from her throat. The pressure builds to an impossible peak, and then release. A sudden emptiness followed by the most beautiful sound she's ever heard, her daughter's first cry. It's a girl, Dr. Reynolds announces, lifting a squirming, fluid-covered infant into view. A beautiful, healthy girl. Maya collapses back against the pillows, exhausted beyond words but reaching out instinctively as the nurse places the wrapped bundle on her chest. Through tears, she sees a tiny red face, eyes squeezed shut, dark hair matted to a perfect head. "Hi, baby," she whispers. "I'm your mama." The world narrows to this moment, this miracle in her arms. For a few precious minutes, everything else falls away. The empty space beside her, the unanswered texts, the betrayal of absence. "Have you chosen a name?" Nurse Elaine asks, clipboard in hand. Maya hesitates. She and Ethan had narrowed it down to 2 options, but never made a final decision. Looking down at her daughter's face, she knows. "Olivia," she says firmly. "Olivia Grace Winters." The administrative details pass in a blur. Paperwork signed, vitals checked, breastfeeding attempted with gentle guidance from the nurse. Maya's sister Vanessa arrives an hour later, rushing into the room with flowers and tears and apologies for not making it in time. "She's perfect," Vanessa breathes, cradling her niece. "Have you heard from Ethan?" Maya shakes her head. "I've been calling and texting since my water broke yesterday." "Nothing." Vanessa's expression darkens. "That's self-centered. Don't," Maya interrupts. "Not now. Let me just be here with her." Later, after Vanessa reluctantly leaves for work, promising to return that evening, Maya finds herself alone with Olivia. The hospital room is quiet, except for the soft sounds of her daughter's breathing. Maya's phone sits on the bedside table, screen dark. No notifications. Shifting Olivia to one arm, she reaches for the device. One more try, the call goes straight to voicemail. "Ethan, it's me. I don't know if you're getting any of my messages, but..." Maya's voice breaks. "She's here. Our daughter. Born at 4:17 this morning. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. I named her Olivia." A tear slides down her cheek. "Just call me, please." She ends the call and opens her photo app, scrolling through recent pictures. The last image of Ethan, the resort photo he'd sent, stares back at her. On impulse, she zooms in, studying details she'd missed before. In the background, beyond the azure water, stands a row of beachfront bungalows. A woman in a red bikini walks along the shore. Nothing unusual for a resort, except Maya zooms further, her heart suddenly racing. The woman's face is partially visible. Something about her seems familiar. She switches to Instagram, fingers trembling as she navigates to Parker's profile. He'd recently accepted her follow request. Part of Ethan's renewed college friendships included social media connections. She scrolls through recent posts, nothing from the Maldives yet. But there's a photo from 2 months ago, a group dinner. Parker, Ethan, and several others Maya doesn't recognize. Except, there she is. The woman from the beach photo. Tagged as Alexis Carr, Maya clicks on the tag, navigating to a private profile. The profile picture shows a stunning brunette with a confident smile. Maya sends a follow request, then returns to Parker's page, scrolling further. More group photos. Alexis appears in several, often next to Ethan. Always casual, nothing incriminating, but often enough to raise questions. Maya's phone pings with a notification. Alexis Carr has accepted her follow request. With Olivia sleeping soundly against her chest, Maya begins to scroll through Alexis's profile. Brunches, workout selfies, office views, typical Instagram fare. Until she reaches a post from 3 days ago. A photo of a resort bungalow, identical to those in the background of Ethan's picture. Caption: "Paradise found. Heart pounding." Maya continues scrolling. Another photo from the same day, sunset cocktails. Maya can make out several figures in the background, sitting at a beach bar. One of them looks distinctly like Ethan, then, posted just 12 hours ago, while Maya was in the early stages of labor, a selfie. Alexis in a red bikini on a boat deck, the same brilliant blue water behind her that was in Ethan's photo, but it's the caption that stops Maya's breath. Best decision ever. New beginnings. The comment section reveals the final piece. Parker J. So happy for you two. About time. Alexis Carr, Parker J. Thanks for being our cover story. Bachelor parties are so useful. Maya's phone slips from her suddenly numb fingers, landing on the bed beside her. The truth crashes through her with the force of a contraction. There is no bachelor party. Parker isn't even engaged. Ethan isn't on a trip with college buddies. He's with another woman. While Maya gave birth to their child, Ethan was starting a new life with someone else. Maya spends the next 24 hours in a strange, suspended state. Nurses come and go. Olivia nurses, sleeps, cries, nurses again. Vanessa returns, bringing comfortable clothes and home-cooked food. Zoe stops by after work with a stuffed elephant and concern in her eyes. No one mentions Ethan's absence directly, but Maya catches the exchanged glances, the careful avoidance of his name. Her phone remains silent except for congratulatory messages from friends and coworkers. She posts no birth announcements, shares no photos. This moment, her daughter's first days, feels too sacred to broadcast, especially now. Instead, she watches Alexis's Instagram stories with morbid fascination. Boat trips, snorkeling, a couple's massage. The paradisiacal backdrop to Maya's personal hell. On the morning of her discharge, as a nurse reviews care instructions, and Vanessa loads the car with flowers and gifts, Maya's phone finally rings. Ethan. She stares at his name on the screen, her heart hammering against her ribs. After everything she's discovered, what could he possibly say? She answers with a calm that surprises her. "Hello, Maya." His voice is breathless, panicked. "I just got your messages, all of them. The reception here has been terrible and my phone fell in the water yesterday. I had to get a new one at the resort shop and... Jesus, Maya, the baby came? She's here? Is everything okay?" The lies fall so easily from his lips. Maya closes her eyes. "We're being discharged today," she says evenly. "Olivia and I are fine." "Olivia," he repeats, and she hears genuine emotion in his voice. "I'm so sorry I wasn't there. I feel awful. But I've booked the first flight out. I leave tonight, lay over in Dubai. I should be home by tomorrow night." "Don't bother," Maya says. "What?" "Maya, of course I'm coming home. I need to see my daughter. And Alexis? Will she be joining you?" The silence that follows is all the confirmation she needs. "Maya!" His voice changes, loses its frantic edge. "I can explain." "Explain what?" "That there's no bachelor party? That Parker isn't engaged? That you're in the Maldives with another woman while I gave birth to your child alone? It's not..." He stops, sighs. "This isn't how I wanted to do this." "How convenient for you," Maya says, her voice tight with controlled rage. "Unfortunately, babies don't wait for convenient timing. Neither does the truth." "I was going to tell you when I got back," Ethan says, his tone shifting to defensive. "After the baby was born, when things settled down." "Tell me what exactly?" "That you've been cheating on me? That our marriage is over? That you're abandoning your newborn daughter?" "I never meant to hurt you," he says, the platitude so inadequate it would be laughable if it weren't so painful. "When did it start?" Maya asks. She needs to know, even if the answer will cut deeper. Ethan hesitates. 6 months ago. Around the time you got pregnant." The timeline clicks into place. His initial reaction to the pregnancy news. The growing distance. The subtle resentment. "You blame the baby," Maya realizes aloud. "You think if I hadn't gotten pregnant, you wouldn't have strayed." "I'm not saying that," Ethan protests, but his denial lacks conviction. "Were you ever going to be a father to Olivia? Or was your plan to leave us both?" "Of course I want to be in her life." He sounds genuinely indignant. "I'm not that kind of man." "What kind of man are you then?" Maya asks softly. "The kind who leaves his heavily pregnant wife for a vacation with his mistress? The kind who misses his child's birth because he's too busy betraying her mother? That kind?" The silence stretches between them, thousands of miles of ocean and broken promises. "I'll come home," Ethan finally says. "We need to talk about this face to face. About custody and..." "No," Maya interrupts. "You won't come to this house. Not now. Maya, be reasonable. That's my home too. And Olivia is my daughter." You gave up any right to call yourself a father when you chose to be in paradise instead of the delivery room, Maya says, her voice shaking with emotion. As for the house, the mortgage is in my name. I've already called a locksmith. You can't keep me from seeing her, Ethan warns. I have rights. Then you can exercise them through a lawyer, Maya replies. Which is exactly what I'll be calling once we're settled at home. This is insane. You're emotional right now and I understand that, but no, you don't understand. You can't possibly understand what these past days have been like. Maya's composure finally cracks, tears spilling down her cheeks. Do you know what it's like to bring a child into the world with no one holding your hand? To scream for hours with only strangers for comfort? To look at our daughter's face and see your features knowing you chose not to be there? Maya, I'm going to hang up now, she says, wiping away tears. Don't call again. My lawyer will contact you. Wait. At least, can you send me a picture of her? Ethan's voice breaks. Please? Maya looks down at Olivia, sleeping peacefully in the hospital bassinet. The daughter Ethan hasn't met. The tiny human they created together before everything fell apart. Check your email in an hour, she says quietly, and ends the call. She sits motionless, phone still in hand, until the nurse arrives with discharge papers. Only then does Maya rise, gathering her strength to face the world waiting beyond these walls, a world suddenly, irrevocably changed. The nursery is peaceful in the pre-dawn light. Maya rocks gently in the glider chair, Olivia drowsy at her breast. These quiet night feedings have become sacred time, just mother and daughter, the house silent around them. All full, sweet girl? Maya murmurs as Olivia releases with a contented sigh. She lifts her daughter to her shoulder, patting the tiny back until a delicate burp emerges. The past 3 months have unfolded in a blur of sleepless nights, legal discussions, and new routines. The divorce proceedings are underway, expedited by Ethan's guilt and Maya's determination. The house will remain hers. The settlement is generous. Ethan's parental rights stay intact, with supervised visitation to begin. Once Olivia turned 6 months old, Maya has seen him only once since the hospital, a tense meeting in her lawyer's office where Ethan looked simultaneously like a stranger and the man she'd loved for years. He'd asked to hold Olivia. Maya had consented, watching as her daughter stared up at her father's face with unfocused curiosity. She looks like you, Ethan had said, voice thick with emotion. She has your eyes, Maya had replied, because it was true. For Olivia's sake, they are learning civility. For her own sake, Maya is learning to forgive, not to excuse Ethan's betrayal, but to release its poison from her own heart. Alexis remains in the picture. She and Ethan have an apartment together now, on the other side of the city. The relationship isn't a secret anymore, though Maya has muted both their social media accounts. Some wounds need time before they can bear witness. The sky outside the nursery window lightens to pale lavender. Maya shifts Olivia to the crook of her arm, studying her daughter's peaceful face. The anger that sustained her through those first weeks has gradually transformed into something different. A fierce, protective love that leaves no room for bitterness. A gentle knock sounds at the door. Vanessa peeks in, wrapped in a robe, hair tousled from sleep. Early Risers Club? She asks softly. Maya smiles. The president and founding member, she says, nodding toward Olivia. After the birth, Vanessa had moved in temporarily, a temporary that has stretched as both sisters discovered the arrangement suited them. Vanessa helps with late-night feedings and early morning coffee. Maya provides the spare room and home-cooked meals Vanessa never makes for herself. Together, they've created a new definition of family. I made tea, Vanessa says, offering a steaming mug. You're a lifesaver. Maya accepts it gratefully. Vanessa perches on the ottoman, watching her niece with undisguised adoration. I was thinking we could take her to the lake today. It's supposed to be warm. That sounds perfect. Maya takes a sip of tea. Zoe might join us. She mentioned wanting to try that new cafe on the shoreline. Another addition to their expanding circle, Zoe, who had shown up the day after Maya returned from the hospital with groceries and unwavering friendship, has become a regular presence in their lives. I like our little village, Vanessa says, as if reading Maya's thoughts. Me too. They sit in comfortable silence as dawn breaks fully over the horizon. Maya thinks about the journey of these past months, from despair to determination, from betrayal to this new, unexpected peace. She thinks of that day in labor, alone and terrified, convinced it was the worst moment of her life. Now she sees it differently, not as an ending, but a beginning. The moment she discovered her own strength, her capacity to endure, to rebuild, to love beyond measure. Olivia stirs in her arms, tiny eyelids fluttering open. Dark eyes, Ethan's eyes, gaze up at her with complete trust. Maya smiles down at her daughter, this miracle who changed everything. What do you think, sweet girl? She whispers. Ready to see the lake today? Olivia responds with a wide, gummy smile. Her first real smile, not the reflexive ones that come with gas bubbles, but a genuine expression of joy. Maya's heart expands in her chest. This is what matters now. Not the pain of the past, but the promise of all the firsts still to come. First words, first steps, first days of school. A lifetime of moments stretching before them. She will be there for everyone. Later, as the sun climbs higher, Maya places Olivia in her crib for a morning nap. On the dresser sits a framed photo, not of Maya and Ethan, those have all been packed away, but of Maya in her hospital bed, holding newborn Olivia. Vanessa had taken it the day after the birth. In the image, Maya looks exhausted but radiant, gazing down at her daughter with wonder. It's not the family portrait Maya had once imagined. There's an empty space where Ethan should have been. But as she studies the photo now, Maya doesn't see absence. She sees the beginning of something new, something whole and beautiful on its own terms. The journey ahead won't be easy. There will be complicated co-parenting arrangements, holidays to navigate, explanations to give Olivia when she's old enough to ask questions. But Maya isn't afraid anymore. After all, she has already survived the hardest part alone. Everything that follows, she can handle, not alone as it turned out, but surrounded by the family she's chosen, the village that rose around her when she needed it most. Sleep tight, little one, Maya whispers, gently stroking Olivia's cheek. Mama's here. Mama will always be here. Outside, the day beckons with possibility. Maya closes the nursery door softly behind her and steps into the light.
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.